Charlotte Brontë, a name that echoes through the annals of literary history. The name alone conjures images of windswept moors, passionate heroines, and brooding heroes. Her stories are imbued with the raw beauty of the Yorkshire landscape, a setting that became almost a character in her novels. Born in 1816, she lived only 38 years. Yet, in that brief span, she managed to create works that have stood the test of time, resonating with readers across generations. In that short time, she blazed a trail through Victorian England's rigid literary landscape, leaving an indelible mark on literature. Her novels, filled with intense emotion and complex characters, challenged the norms of her time. This essay delves into the life of Charlotte Brontë, exploring her childhood, her creative process, and the triumphs and tragedies that shaped her. From her early years in the parsonage at Haworth to her struggles with loss and illness, every aspect of her life influenced her writing. Through her iconic novel Jane Eyre and other works, Brontë gave voice to women's silenced desires and ambitions. She created heroines who were not only passionate and strong-willed, but also deeply introspective and morally complex. Her stories resonated with readers then and continue to captivate us today. They speak to the universal human experiences of love, loss, and the quest for identity. They offer a timeless blend of romance, social commentary, and thrilling mystery. Her works are a testament to the enduring power of literature to reflect and shape the human experience, making Charlotte Brontë a literary icon whose legacy continues to inspire. Imagine a remote parsonage on the Yorkshire moors, often shrouded in mist and perpetually buffeted by wind. The landscape is both haunting and beautiful, a place where the elements seem to conspire to create an atmosphere of mystery and solitude. This is the setting that shaped the early lives of the Brontë children, a place where the wildness of nature was a constant companion. That was the Brontë children's world. They roamed the moors, their imaginations fueled by the rugged beauty and isolation of their surroundings. The vast, open spaces provided a canvas for their creativity, allowing them to dream up stories and adventures that transcended the confines of their everyday lives. Charlotte, the third of 6 children, grew up surrounded by siblings who shared her vivid imagination. The Brontë household was a hive of creative activity, with each child contributing to the rich tapestry of stories and characters that filled their days. They were not just siblings, but collaborators in a grand, ongoing narrative. Their world was one of storytelling. From a young age, they were encouraged to read and write, and they took to it with a passion that would later define their lives. The parsonage was filled with books, and the children devoured them, drawing inspiration from the tales they read and weaving them into their own imaginative creations. Together, they created intricate sagas populated by imaginary characters and kingdoms. These stories were not mere pastimes, but elaborate ongoing epics that they would return to again and again. The Brontë children lived in a world of their own making, a world where anything was possible and where their imaginations knew no bounds.
Tragically, tragedy struck early. Our mother died when I was just 5. Her death left a void that was impossible to fill, casting a long shadow over our family. We were left to navigate the complexities of life without her guiding presence, and it was a loss that we felt deeply every day. This loss cast a long shadow over the family. It was a time of profound grief and uncertainty, and we had to find ways to cope with the overwhelming sadness that permeated our lives. Our father did his best to provide for us, but the absence of our mother was a constant, aching void. Later, 2 of my elder sisters died of tuberculosis contracted at a boarding school. The harsh conditions and inadequate medical care at the school were a grim reminder of the precariousness of life in Victorian England. Their deaths were a devastating blow, and the grief we felt was compounded by the sense of injustice at their untimely passing. A grim reminder of the precariousness of life in Victorian England. The loss of my sisters was a stark illustration of the fragility of life, and it underscored the harsh realities of the world we lived in. It was a time of great sorrow, but also of resilience, as we struggled to carry on in the face of such overwhelming loss.
The Haworth parsonage, a stone building on the edge of the moors, looking stark yet strangely inviting. It was a place of contrasts, where the harshness of the landscape was tempered by the warmth and creativity that flourished within its walls. The parsonage was more than just a home. It was a sanctuary, a place where the Bronte children could escape the hardships of their reality and lose themselves in the worlds they created. The Bronte children, isolated yet intellectually vibrant, turned to writing as an outlet for their creativity. Their early efforts were collaborations, fantastical tales spun in their own private world.
I, always ambitious, craved literary recognition. I sent my poems to the poet laureate of the time, Robert Southey. His response, while well-intentioned, advised me to focus on the duties of women rather than writing.
Charlotte, ever the rebel, took his advice under advisement, then promptly ignored it. She knew her calling. She had stories to tell. In 1847, a year that would forever change the landscape of English literature, Charlotte Brontë, writing under the male pseudonym Currer Bell, published Jane Eyre. This was a time when female authors often had to hide their true identities to be taken seriously. The novel, a revolutionary tale of a governess who falls in love with her brooding employer, Mr. Rochester, took the Victorian literary world by storm. It wasn't just a love story. It was a complex narrative that delved into themes of morality, religion, and social class. Jane Eyre wasn't your typical romance. It was a groundbreaking work that challenged the norms of its time. It was raw, honest, and dared to give a woman a voice and desires that defied societal expectations. Jane Eyre, the protagonist, was not a passive character. She was strong, independent, and unafraid to speak her mind. Jane's famous declaration, "I am a free human being with an independent will," resonated deeply with readers. This line became a rallying cry for women who felt trapped by the rigid confines of Victorian society. The novel was an instant success, but not without controversy. Critics were divided. Some praised its boldness, while others condemned it as immoral. Some found its themes of social class and female desire scandalous. The idea that a woman could have her own desires and act upon them was revolutionary and unsettling for many. But for many, it was a breath of fresh air, a powerful testament to the strength and resilience of the human spirit, especially the female spirit. Jane Eyre became more than just a character. She became a symbol of empowerment and defiance. The impact of Jane Eyre extended far beyond its initial publication. It inspired countless women to pursue their own dreams and to question the societal norms that sought to limit them. Today, Jane Eyre remains a beloved classic, studied in schools and cherished by readers of all ages. Its themes of love, independence, and self-respect continue to resonate, proving that Charlotte Bronte's work is timeless. Charlotte Bronte's courage to write such a daring novel under a pseudonym and her ability to capture the complexities of human emotion have cemented her place in literary history. Jane Eyre is not just a book, it is a literary earthquake that continues to shake the foundations of societal norms and inspire generations. As we look back on the impact of Jane Eyre, we see a story that transcends time, a narrative that continues to inspire and empower. It reminds us that literature has the power to challenge, to change, and to uplift the human spirit.
My life, much like my novels, was marked by a blend of romantic longing and profound loss.
She had her share of unrequited love, most notably for her married tutor, Constantine Eyre.
These experiences, though painful, fueled her writing, adding layers of emotional depth to her characters.
Tragically, just as Charlotte was achieving literary fame, she faced another devastating blow.
In 1848 and 1849, I lost all three of my remaining siblings, Branwell, Emily, and Anne, to tuberculosis.
Despite the immense personal tragedies she endured, Charlotte Brontë continued to write.
She published 2 more novels, Shirley and Villette.
These later works, while not as commercially successful as Jane Eyre, further cemented her reputation as a gifted writer with a keen eye for social observation and a talent for crafting compelling characters.
Charlotte Bronte's legacy extends far beyond the moors of Yorkshire.
She helped pave the way for women in literature, proving that they could write about complex themes and flawed, passionate heroines who dared to challenge societal norms.
Why do we still read Charlotte Brontë today, over 170 years after her death? Her stories continue to resonate because they tap into universal human experiences: love, loss, longing, and the search for identity and belonging. Her heroines, like Jane Eyre, are far from perfect. They are flawed, headstrong, and often make questionable decisions, just like us. But it's their imperfections, their fierce independence, and their unwavering moral compasses that make them so relatable and enduring. Charlotte Bronte's life, though tragically short, was one of intense creativity and unwavering determination. She dared to dream big in a time when women's voices were often silenced. Her stories, filled with passion, social commentary, and unforgettable characters, continue to captivate readers of all ages. Through her words, she continues to inspire us to embrace our individuality, to fight for our dreams, and to never be afraid to express our own wild selves.